to add value to my children's lives now that they're grown up.
Be yourself, your true self, by following the formula. That's what it's for. If you are not being your true self, then who are they in a relationship with? Simple as that. Keep going. Everything will fall into place. Everything that is relevant and important in your life, every appointment you've made, every agreement that you've made will be kept if you just keep moving forward and allow your life to unfold in the perfect timing in which you have designed it.
Allow yourself and your duty as a parent to be clear that the idea that you love them is already clear, but the ideas of how you express the concept of love may need to be brought into alignment. I'm not saying this is the case. I'm just talking generalities. The idea is that children are completely implicitly trusting of the parent, and they receive whatever they receive from the parent as if it were the perfect symbol or representation of the parent's love. Now, if the parent is sending negative ego belief systems down that avenue toward the child, then the child will start to interpret negative belief system ego structures as a symbol of love, and that will be the only symbol the child will know, and the only symbol the child will themselves be able to express in life until they get a handle on how to bring that back into alignment with symbols that are more positively representative of the underlying current of unconditional love that is always there. Does that make sense?
It does.
All right.
Going further, you were talking about children being older souls that are coming here as the teachers.
Yes, especially now in this day and age, many of the children being born on your planet and that have been being born now for about the last 20 years or so are, in a sense, not only a new generation, they are actually a different species. And it is representative of souls that have a lot of experience in many of them, that are cross-connecting to many different experiences in many different parallel realities. And by the genetic alteration that is happening within them as they restructure their embryonic bodies, they are creating a genetic structure that will give rise to a personality structure that will not forget as much of who they are as beings, as whole beings, as spirits.
You are serving in the hybridization agenda by having donated genetic material. You're serving in the hybrid agenda by teaching the hybrid children some of the things they need to know when they come to live among humans on Earth. They are attempting to get your attention to understand the purpose that you are providing for the evolution of humanity in general, though there may be some specific messages from time to time. But they are also sending to us a technique for you that may put you in clearer touch with the communications from the mantis beings, and that is to draw them. And while you are drawing them, consider the drawing of them a type of meditation. And in that meditation, allow yourself to just open up to what you'll receive by looking at the drawing as you're creating it, and even looking at the drawing and meditating on it as you have finished the drawing. That's a technique that can work for you.
I have 3 physical children right now. I know that they are hybridized.
You're all hybridized.
Yes, yeah. And I know they're more advanced, being.
They're just more awake.
More awake. Can you give us some guidelines or coaching on how to coexist with them and how to raise them in alignment where
Create educational programs that allow for higher degrees of interactivity so that they can actually learn by doing. Create programs where in a safe environment they can understand the consequences of the choices and actions that they take so that they can grow into adulthood knowing that they can only need to take choices and only need to take actions that are representative of their self-empowerment, and they don't need to hurt themselves or anyone else to get what they need. Allow yourselves to adapt the education that they may require to what excites them instead of attempting to adapt their excitement to the lessons that you think they need to learn. If you do even just these 3 things, you will have an educational system that will allow them to really remember who they are and become the adults that are balanced in emotion, in spirit, in body, in mind, and they will then transform the world.
And in a day-to-day basis, since, like, for example, myself is programmed differently compared to them.
Well, you need to reprogram yourself.
So how will I raise them on a day-to-day basis?
Use your imagination. Follow your own excitement. You understand why it's important to do that, yes?
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
And if you follow your own excitement and act on it every moment that you can, with no insistence on the outcome to the best of your ability, you will open up the kit of excitement for yourself that supports you,
That is the driving engine. That is the organizing principle. That is the path of least resistance. That is the connection to all other forms of excitement. That is the reflective mirror that shows you what's out of alignment with excitement within you so you can bring it back into alignment. And when you do that for yourself, you will be the vibrational state that will allow your imagination to download the inspiration, ideas, techniques, rituals, motivations that you need to pass along to them.
For starting to really implementing your teachings in our education, in our schools and universities and...
The basic metaphysical principles that we talk about are not ours. We deliver them in a specific way, yes. But the idea is that this is a basic understanding of metaphysics, a basic understanding of how existence is structured and how it works. The timing for introducing the ideas that we're talking about into your educational system, now. Why wait?
Great, thanks.
The idea is to create more interactivity for the children so that they learn by actually doing, yes? Instead of just being talked at. To allow the lessons to be adapted to what excites each child instead of attempting to adapt their excitement into the lesson. Yes?
Yes.
Teaching them the consequences of their actions and the consequences of their choices in a safe, protected environment so that they can learn the basic tools of how to manifest reality in a way that allows them to become experts at it by the time they're adults. Yes?
Yes.
These are the tools and techniques of education. So, why wait?
Okay.
Teach them that they are self-empowered. Teach them that they are as powerful as they need to be already to manifest whatever it is that is truly relevant for them in their lives in a joyful, creative, loving way without having to hurt themselves or anyone else in order to get what they need. Teach them that they are that powerful.
Some of them find it interesting how often we eat.
Yes.
And yeah, and my toddler is the same way. I mean, it's very difficult to get him to sit down at the table and eat.
Yes.
But if he doesn't eat, he gets hungry, and that can lead to other challenges. So my question is there a better way to handle meal time with young children?
Well, the idea, first and foremost, is that many of them may require a lighter diet in terms of what it is they eat. You can explore with the child what it is they may be excited or attracted to at certain times when they are hungry. The idea can be worked through in discussions, in conversations, and you can use your creative imagination to, shall we say, describe the different foods that probably are beneficial for them in ways that get them excited about them. You can make up stories about them in terms of what their abilities are, what they will give to the body, what they will allow the child to experience if they incorporate those substances in their body. Remember, the idea of teaching a child requires the parent and the teacher to be as creative and imaginative as a child in coming up with how to have a conversation that really gives the child an understanding from a different perspective about what certain foods will do for the child to help them thrive and sustain their viability in physical reality. So it's up to you to be creative with the stories about what the different foods will do.
More of a guidance or an example when I see children that they are so exciting playing those violent games or watching even the Disney Channel where sometimes it doesn't seem to be very
Turn
positive.
the issue around and start rewarding them for creating and constructing positive community rather than destruction. They are now being rewarded for creating destruction. Reward them for creating construction. Remind them that if they really wish to express power, true power is in creating. It takes no power to destroy.
Okay.
You can have a stack of blocks. It takes more power to build the stack than it does to push it over. You understand?
Yes.
So you can begin to teach them and reinvent games that entrain them to understand that they will be more rewarded and more expansive in their abilities by being rewarded for creating and building connection and community than by destroying and disassembling.
If you have a situation as parent that your children is maybe have troubles, and they run into many troubles, but you can't help them because they don't listen to you, like teenagers,
All right. Again, first of all, you're talking about a situation that is the result of a buildup of all sorts of belief systems for many years.
Okay.
The idea in general is to understand them by understanding how things work, so that you give them a safe space in which to experience the consequences of the choices that they make, so they can learn what those consequences are without really experiencing them too strongly. And you create interactivity in your imagination with them to allow them to understand they are as powerful already as they need to be to attract whatever they need in life without having to hurt themselves or anyone else in the process to do that. And you allow yourself to have the imagination as a parent and a teacher to design the lesson that you believe they need to learn in a way that adapts to their excitement, instead of trying to force their excitement to adapt to the lesson. Do you understand? Then they will want to learn. Then they will want to understand how to make choices in a positive and constructive way. But for years and years, your planet and your teaching system has taught them things that don't allow them to understand their connection to source, their self-empowerment, their freedom to choose, the consequences of choices, or the idea that they can live their excitement and learn everything they need to learn through the auspices of their excitement, instead of dampening their excitement to fit into a mold.
So if your children hang out with kids that use drugs or something, you just kind of let them?
It's the result of belief in disempowerment.
Okay.
Because remember, addiction of any kind, or attraction to addiction of any kind in the negative sense, is because you feel there is something missing within you that you are trying to either fill with something that never will fill it, or dull the sensation that you're missing something so that you don't have to pay attention to it. Because that's a scary place, and that's what a lot of your teenagers feel. And they don't understand what it is because they've never been taught how to connect to their own self-empowered connection.
So how do we help them?
You, as the parent and the teachers, have to have an understanding of how this works, as we've explained it, and you have to have the ability to create, with your imagination, dialogues and situations and circumstances for them that allow them to practice making choices and experiencing or understanding what those consequences are in a way that is safe for them before they actually do that out in what you call the real world. But you have to create those things for them as the parents and the teachers.
But if they don't listen to you?
Not now, no. But you have to be clever enough to figure a way around that, and one of the ways is what we suggest. You have to understand what excites them, and you have to speak to them in their own language of excitement, so that you are clever enough to adapt the lesson to their excitement. They may not even know what you're doing that, but you have to be the one that's imaginative and clever enough to know how to do it.
Can we talk to them in the sleep, or, like...
That's what, well, now see, you came up with that interesting imagination idea. Talk to them in their sleep. What's wrong with that? That came from your imagination.
Okay. Thank you, Bashar.
Thank you. And by the way, don't forget the unconditional love.
Does that mean children have limiting beliefs and that's why they're abused? Or is there a different reason? Was it a choice by the soul to incarnate, to have particular experiences? Because how can a child who is still natural, still in touch with nature, have such negative belief systems?
Well, first of all, there cannot be one general answer for this, because it depends upon the particular person and soul and the theme they are exploring. So there can be many reasons for those kinds of experiences. One reason can be that a soul might actually choose to have that experience because it might add to the overall collective experience of abuse and help it reach a point where your society will finally agree that such a thing should never happen again. So a soul might add to the pile of experiences, knowing that by doing so, you might reach a tipping point sooner that would allow your society to change and not have those experiences from that point forward. Other children might simply pick upon the belief systems of their parents and thus harbor limiting beliefs that come from their parents, because they may need to use those limiting beliefs to push against in order to transform negative experiences in their lives into more positive ones. by having chosen things to push against to propel them in a more positive direction. So again, you have to kind of take it on a case-by-case, person-by-person, child-by-child basis as to why they might be experiencing certain things, either of their choosing or from the belief systems that might be ensconced in their unconscious mind that they may have picked up from parents or society or schooling or friends that demonstrate that these things exist in your society, to give you an opportunity to see them more clearly and to decide what to do about changing those experiences on your planet in the future.
No.
Okay.
Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that you create a sense of continuity to this concept called the past, and therefore you can use it in a variety of ways if you wish to help you move forward. That's viable. At the same time, it doesn't really exist. You have been taught to think that it does because of your space-time perspective and this idea called continuity that makes you think there is an actual linear connection between the past and the present, when there really isn't. You are creating your past from the present, not the other way around. So when you become a new person, every moment that you change anything about yourself, you're a new person. And that means you actually at that moment have a new past. The past you had to have had to make sense in space and time of how you became the person you now are. So the idea is that you're not actually creating things or holding on to things from the past, in a sense, technically speaking. But what you're doing every moment that you redefine yourself is you are including that concept over and over and over again, that something came from your childhood. But it didn't necessarily come from your childhood anymore, because you have been a new person and you're creating a new past that didn't necessarily have the experience you're talking about. So you don't have to keep connecting to it. Now, for some people on your planet, that's a lot to wrap their minds around, and they may not be able to do it that way. So there are other techniques, many other permission slips you can use, even using the idea that there is something that happened in childhood that is still causing trauma. Fine. You can go that route if you want, and there are many techniques to help you through it. But I'm just simply telling you mechanically what's actually happening is there's no such thing.
What is the secret to a long-lasting marriage?
Communication, clear communication, support, and allowing each being in the relationship to see reflections that will allow them to become more of who they truly are. Not any imposition of suppositions or insistences or assumptions about what they should be, but to allow them to become more of who they truly are. And that happens through support and clear communication, investigation of deep belief systems, why people choose to do what they choose to do, to understand each other and support each other in ways that allow each of the people in the relationship, again, as we said, to become more of who they truly are, to find their self-empowerment.
Would you say that patience might have something to do with it?
No patience is required. The only reason you require patience is because you're being impatient, because you think you know better than someone else and they're not doing what you want them to do.
Thank you.